So I want to make a quick video on an issue that I was having with my truck. So this is a 2004 Chevy Colorado ZQ8 LS. I was having problems with the Passlock system. I would turn the engine, it would crank, but it wouldn't start up. And it didn't matter if the engine was warm, cold. It was completely random whenever it would happen. I ended up taking it to a shop. They didn't even know what it was, and they said they can spend hours on it looking for it, and they wouldn't even be able to find it. So I ended up scanning it while the problem was happening, while it was cranking, and it was around 200 RPMs. So then I called the shop that I brought it to the first, and they said, well, that's way too low. It needs to be around 400 in order for it to fire up. So then we assumed it was a crankshaft sensor, so I replaced the crankshaft sensor. It still happened. And then one time I was driving, and then a light came on the dash for the anti-theft system, the Passlock. So then I took it to another place, and he scanned it, and he found that it was a problem with the Passlock system. Which was the first shop that I took it to. The light had never come on before, so it wasn't in the system of the truck. So they said that most likely it would need a new ignition switch. So they were wanting to charge me around $550. But I had a warranty through a company, and I asked them if they can submit a claim for it to see if it was covered. I never heard anything back. This was probably maybe a week and a half ago, something like that. So I ended up going to a scrapyard and pulling off an ignition. Sorry, the video cut out. I went to a scrapyard, pulled an ignition switch off of one of their trucks. I actually pulled two of them. One was off of an '08 Canyon, and the other one was off of a Colorado, but I don't know what year it was. And it just goes right into where that one was. I watched a couple videos. A guy through his video, he ended up getting like the whole like whatever you call it, the sensor and the housing part with the cylinder lock in it. So he had to like take off the steering wheel, airbag, all that other stuff. And I thought that was kind of a lot. And he said in his video he was wondering why they didn't come separately, like how the sensor and the housing, but they're together. So I ended up going to the scrapyard. Well, first I pulled my cover off to see what mine looks like, and then I figured out that I can just undo the two screws and then pull the sensor out. So I ended up going to the scrapyard, pulling them off of the two trucks that they had there. I got two of them because I wasn't sure if maybe one wasn't working, just to be safe. I paid $40 for both of them. And then I also called Chevrolet at a town nearby me, and they were wanting to charge around $600. So I ended up replacing it myself and only paid essentially $20, but I got two, so just to be safe, maybe I'll sell one. So what you're going to want to do if you are having this issue, in order to get this, so you take off the bolts for the cover underneath for the steering column, and then sorry, I'm going to stop this video just so it doesn't end again. So after you took the cover off underneath, you just pull it apart, and then you put your key in to the on position, or accessory, sorry. Or it's either on or accessory, whichever one. You undo that pigtail clip, undo those two screws, and then the sensor should just come right out. I also saw on Amazon that you can buy the sensor and like the full housing. I think it was around $70, but I just went to a scrapyard. It's essentially kind of like a U-pole. The guys just let me go in there and pick whatever I want, and then I pay them after. But yeah, after you do that, you just take out the sensor, replace it, put it back in, and then you have to do a relearn for the sensor. So what you would do is you'd put your key in, and then you would try to crank it. The first time it would just crank and then nothing would happen. And then you just put it back to the on, like after you crank it, let it go back to wherever it was. And then you wait exactly 10 seconds. That Passlock anti-theft light will flash, and then after 10 minutes it'll quickly flash, and then it'll go out. At this point you would turn off the key for 10 seconds, and then after 10 seconds you would try to crank it again, and then nothing will happen. And then you just leave it in the run position for 10 minutes again, and then after the 10 minutes you turn it off for 10 seconds, and then on your last time, so you'll do it a total of 3 times. On your last time it'll crank, and then you turn it off for 10 seconds and then start it up like you normally would, and then it should just fire up. Apparently some trucks, you'll only need to do that procedure, like the 10-minute procedure, once. But in my case, like I think a lot of others, you have to do it a total of 3 times. So after I did that, everything went perfect. The truck fired up on the 3rd try, and then everything runs great on it. This should have fixed the problem. When I took it in, when they told me that it was most likely the ignition switch, it could also be something with the BCM, maybe like some wires maybe corroded somewhere, or maybe loose ground, I'm not sure. But this right now, I believe it fixed the problem, but it's a Chevy, so you never know what'll happen next. Yeah, so if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments. I'll link a video to the guy that I watched, how he replaced the whole housing and the switch. Yeah, so if you have any questions, just let me know. Thanks. Hopefully this helped. Also, if anyone's curious, I was a little curious myself, and I wanted to know what was inside the switch. So I took it all apart. Lots of goodies in there. And then here's a... Where did that one go? And here's a good one. Oh. Pretty intricate system. But apparently people have been having a lot of issues with these Passlock systems, because it cuts you out even though nothing's really wrong. It's just the switch is bad, or hopefully the switch is bad. It's not a ground issue like I was saying before. But yeah, if you do end up doing this, then make sure you have all like unnecessary accessories off, like turn your radio off. If you could turn your lights off, turn them off. Because you might have to do it more than 3 times, so that'll just save you from draining your battery. Try and turn everything off that you don't need.